FM podcast.
My name is Lenson Njogu from Legal Resources Foundation. Today we are going to speak about the Constitution, and we want to look at the Constitution as an establishment for good governance. Now, we all know about the Constitution of Kenya 2010. It's important for us to first know that it derives its powers from the people. What does this mean? It means that me and you who are citizens of this country have got the power to govern this particular country. We only delegate that power to various institutions of the country. And these institutions that have got delegated power to exercise the powers within the Constitution are only three. That is, the first one being the legislature, what you call parliament. And you know parliament has the powers to make laws that govern us. Then we have got the judiciary. And judiciary, these powers go together with the power to interpret the laws that have been created by Parliament. And then the third institution that we have delegated the constitutional powers to exercise for us is the executive. That is where the presidency and the national government infrastructure is, where the county commissioners and the DCs that you used to know as DCs and the DO, now the county government administrators, fall into place. So those are the three institutions that hold our powers. Now, and that is the people's power. And now, when you look at that, the Constitution has established two levels of government. The first level of government is the national government, and then there is the devolution element, which has created 47 county governments. What does this mean to me and you as a Kenyan? It means that the services that were initially, before the 2010 Constitution came into place, or the current Constitution, are deposited at the headquarters, or more so what you'd call Nairobi, the capital city then, alone, are now devolved or brought home to your county. It means then you are able to access certain services easily. For example, medical care, which has been devolved, rather than initially where it was at the national level. But it's important to note that there are certain powers, for example, of the executive, that were never devolved to the county level for obvious reasons. A good example is national security, and that's what it's called, national security. Our homeland security, that still remains at the national level because we need clear, coordinated national security infrastructure that involves surveillance, intelligence, physical, what you call hard patrol kind of security, to ensure we are able to protect our homeland security and also our territorial borders that we have, our boundaries. As you know, we are in a war of some sort with Somalia. And if we are to devolve security only to Mandera, which neighbors Somalia, then it would be a very hard task, knowing that a county government does not have its own police, does not have its own intelligence, does not have its own military to be able to patrol that. And that is the reasoning behind what is left for national government and what is being devolved for the county government. The other element I would want to speak about the Constitution of Kenya being an establishment of good governance is that it applies in one of its articles the general rules of international law. And I know somebody is asking, what is that? This is where it says that beyond what is written in our Constitution of Kenya, if there is a progressive international law, for example, that is provided for in the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights, or United Nations Convention Against Torture, or any other progressive international law, it can be cited in terms of interpretation in pursuing justice in this particular country. This is an important thing because the writers of the Constitution of Kenya tried as much to ensure that we have built in everything to protect justice in this country. But remember that society is dynamic. We could be having deficit of laws. And by having us go by the guidance of general rules of international law, then it gives us a platform to pursue justice both internally and also externally. That's why we run to Supreme Court internally as the highest court, but sometimes in other matters we run to the East African Court of Justice or the International Court of Justice. Then the other element that the Constitution gives us is the element of what is our national language. And it is very clear that the national language of Kenya is Kiswahili. And then it gives us the official languages. Official languages means the languages that can be used for transaction, either in banks, either in courts or school or anything. And it gives Kiswahili as a national language plus English. So those two becomes the official languages of the country. But that same article also goes to say that we shall make effort to also embrace other languages. This is to have inclusivity of persons with disability. And as such, Kenya Sign Language becomes the third language, and also emphasizes that materials can also be transcribed into Braille for those who are visually impaired. And then lastly, the same constitution that comes from the people and gives us a sovereign state called Kenya talks about citizenship. And it goes ahead to say who can become a citizen of Kenya at birth, or by registration, or by assimilation. And those are important keys to look at. Now, as we move forward to the next show, we shall be looking at now the deeper element of this element by looking at Chapter 4, which is about the Bill of Rights, and we see how that establishment of good governance manifests itself into realization of human rights. Thank you very much.
Stay tuned to learn more on our next podcast.